Hey everyone. I'm Alvin. I'll start with today's story. Uh, it's one that I uh, it's one that I wrote for a project in the spring in 2023 as a sort of introduction story for a project that I did called After the Cataclysm Before the Storm. And the whole premise was looking at, or one half of that project was looking at uh, climate change in the future uh, through what is tactically or tech through what is like through what is experienced right now, in particular with work that I was doing in Vietnam since 2019. Uh, and so I want to share that story and then share the observations that I had that led up to the formation of that story and of my work in general as of late. Uh, uh, so I'll start reading. I'm reading from a sheet, by the way. Oh, I also, while I read, I do want to share. Can I get uh, screen sharing abilities? Oh, great, thank you. I'll just play this loop. It's a like 5 second loop. Just gives you something interesting to look at. So what we're looking at right now is it was footage shot in 2019 uh, in Ho Chi Minh City. That's a place formerly known as Saigon. It was the place where the Americans and the French it was the kind of administrative city for colonial efforts by the Americans and then by the French before them in Southeast Asia. What we're looking at is the construction of a climate change mitigation structure called the Bengay Sluice Gate. I'm not sure if it's finished at the moment, but this is as recent as February, and I wrote a story about this gate. Okay, so I'll begin. Uh, a monk is floating on board a small aluminum boat on the Saigon River. Under the scorching sun and above the glittering water, the monk and the boat are as invisible as ghosts. On board the boat with the monk are two containers, a green rectangular pot and a round woven bamboo basket. The green pot features Chinese inscriptions glazed into one of its glossy ceramic faces, indicating a name. Taped above the name is a small postage stamp-sized portrait. After decades of waiting, the face of this name has discolored and faded. As the boat sways in the current of the river, the monk reaches with his left hand into the woven basket to grab a palm-sized ball of white glutinous rice that sticks to his hand. On the top face of the pot is an opening into its interior, where the monk has now placed his left hand above. His left hand enters the pot until the entire hand is submerged in cool and dry ashes, a strange reprieve from the hot and humid Saigon air. The pot is indeed an urn. Like a beckoning to come, the monk curls his fingers and palm into a fist and presses the ashes into the sticky rice that is stuck to his palm. The monk repeats this motion, pulling an unknown person back into the mortal world. The once cold ashes have equalized in temperature with the heat that emanates from the monk's living hand. The monk takes his left hand out of the urn and releases his fist. He reveals to the world a ball of glutinous rice mixed with the ashes. The ball has a powdery gray surface that is punctuated by lacunas formed by rice granules pressing against each other. In a swift and decisive motion, the monk's right hand grabs the ball and throws it in the southeast direction of the Saigon River. The ball flies through the air, breaks the surface tension of the water, and is carried further by the current of the river or by the animals that will eat it. The monk continues this ritual until all of the ashes are exhumed from the urn and thrown as balls of rice into the river. Beads of sweat form on the head and neck of the monk, like one of the construction workers on the shore. The workers are building a massive gate to prevent the rising Saigon River from overflowing its tributary, the Beijing Channel. While catching his breath, the monk observes the nearly complete Beijing sluice gate and wonders how the spirit that he just released will be able to return to the Chaovin Fat Temple in Cholan, where the spirit had spent the first decades of their afterlife in. Can spirits swim past the gate? My mother told me that her ashes and the ashes of my father should be brought from Toronto to the Chaovin Fat Temple in Cholan, also known as the Temple of 10,000 Buddhas in the Chinese quarters of Ho Chi Minh City. This grand yet hidden Buddhist temple is where the ashes of both my maternal and paternal family rest. I asked my mother what I should do in the event that major parts of Ho Chi Minh City are underwater, a projected reality by 2050 from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change report of 2021. My mother responded that monks at Chaovin Fat release the ashes of people when they're no longer remembered or visited by their friends or surviving family. These forgotten ashes are mixed with glutinous rice and thrown as balls into the Saigon River to disperse the ashes into the sea. If the temple were to be submerged in water, then all of the ashes would go where they are eventually destined to be. So that's the story. It's based on a very a COVID era conversation I had with my mom. Quite morbid, basically, like, what do I do when you pass away? What do I do with your body? And she requested that her ashes, along with those of my father's, be brought to this Chinese Buddhist temple in Ho Chi Minh City, so in Vietnam, so the Chinatown of Vietnam. And that's when I had this conversation with her, and I brought up climate change and how the city is supposed to be underwater, and she was not really like, I was flustered by it, but she wasn't flustered by it. She told me that, she told me about this burial ritual that happens where people are given essentially eco burials when these ashes are mixed with rice when they're no longer visited by people, and then they're dispersed into the Saigon River. The Saigon River flows into the sea, and so it's a link to the ocean. So what we're looking at right now then is a climate change mitigation structure from 2019, or from as of February 2023, and we see one part of it. This is one part of the gate, and during its construction, there is this corrugated steel fence that has separated two distinct bodies of water. So you see this kind of clearer body of water is a tributary to the Saigon River. It's called the Beijing Channel. Oh, I don't know if someone's motorbike is going off. And then this greener water is the Saigon River. You can see how there's kind of a detritus bunching up against the corrugated steel, and it shows the flow of the river going up the channel. And now these two distinct bodies of water are separated from this gate. Eventually, instead of this corrugated metal, there's going to be, a thick slab of steel and concrete that would connect this side of the gate to the other side of the gate. And so the story is about thinking about how climate change is not just embedded in the everyday, especially over there. You can see, there's this infrastructure construction, but also I was also thinking about how climate change also affects the non-material world or spiritual world, or the ability for someone to intimately mourn someone, for someone to know that they have the ability to, when they pass, to have their ashes or to have what is left of them in physical form be respected or follow a traditional burial. And so I was thinking about how, this kind of structure would impose on that kind of traditional burial rite. I'm gonna show some other slides. So basically, this whole my thinking came when it dawned on me in 2019 that everyone that I know there in the city, or friends or family, like they're eventually going to have to move because Ho Chi Minh City is slated to be underwater by 2050, or officially below flood levels. This is a close-up. So this is a New York Times visualization of climate change data from the UN. This is from 2019, and you can see the southern tip of Vietnam is essentially underwater. What's left would be little islands, essentially, and the place in question that this story is about is Ho Chi Minh City. So it's all blue, essentially. This is a more detailed map. This is from the Surging Seas database. It takes the same data, or takes the latest data from the UN, and it visualizes in red places that are projected to be below flood levels. So if it were to rain, or as the sea rises, then these areas would be underwater. The sluice gate, the Beignet sluice gate that the story is about, is installed somewhere here where my mouse is circling around, and it's designed to stop the Saigon River, which is this big, so it's this blue river, from overflowing the rest of the city because it cuts into the city. And then like the temple, the Buddhist temple that I was writing about, is located somewhere here. So it's all connected. So in 2019, I walked by this strange river construction site without knowing exactly what it was. And this is sort of the beginning of the Beignet sluice gate being built. I just realized, I noticed that it was, one, it's an imposing structure. It's interrupting the flow of water. So you can see where my mouse is moving. So this is leading to the Saigon River. And then where my mouse is moving, so towards the back, this is the Beignet Channel. So these are two set bodies of water that are supposed to flow into each other. This is a construction photo. So even already it was quite imposing as a structure. And then this is as recent as February. As you can see, both sides of the gate are complete. What's missing is a very long, I guess, robust concrete and steel wall that would separate very well these two bodies of water. You can even see the color of the water is different. There's a green color that connects to the Saigon River. And then this water seems maybe cleaner. This is the temple in question. And I'd just like to say, everything kind of dawned on me when I was visiting my family's a plot of land that my family lives on in the rural outskirts of Ho Chi Minh City. So this is an area that's almost certainly to be underwater, and I could see it happening already. Like I didn't need to see a climate change mitigation structure being built, like this grand structure to tell me that it was happening, because this piece of land is already so saturated with water that when the sun sets and the moon rises, the moon's celestial body pulls the water from the ground up to its surface, in the same way that the moon pulls a water body to the shore of a beach, like the rising of the shore, the swelling of the shore. It's the same effect that's happening here, but just on land. And so this piece of land has this process, even in dry season, of being muddy in the daytime, and then by the time the sun sets, it's underwater again. So this is a photo during dry season, and then during wet season, when there's regular rain and monsoon, that extra water plus the super saturated water table of the ground just leads to like a submerged area essentially, where you're ankle to an you're either ankle deep in water or knee deep in water for a prolonged period of time. And this is a regular occurrence, and it's getting more and more intense per year. And that's my weather story. Thank you.